pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I need a motion to approve the agenda. So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. All right, that passes. Do we have any patron comments? Excellent. All right, next up is, yeah, what did I miss? Oh, the agenda. I apologize.
5.03.
I apologize. I need a motion to approve the Board of Education meeting minutes for April 12, 2018.
So moved. Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. It passes. And no patron comments. So next up, we have our superintendent and board comments. So we'll start with Dr. Knos.
Good evening. Good evening. All right. Let's start with some fun announcements. Rockwood School District officials coordinated with the Baldwin Police on April the 13th for an intruder drill at Westridge Elementary School. Intruder drills take place at all Rockwood schools on a regular basis, part of our security plan. And as part of the district-wide safety and security review we put in place just a few weeks ago, the administrators are increasing the frequency of these intruder drills. In municipalities where Rockwood schools exist, administrators collaborate with local law enforcement when they're having intruder drills. Executive Director of Student Services, our own Dr. Terry Harris, stated that Rockwood administrators and local chiefs of police have agreed to meet quarterly in addition to our monthly meetings with our SROs. Just want to share that to remind people that safety and security is always a conversation taking place with my administrative team. And this is Public School Volunteer Week. The Rockwood School community appreciates our devoted volunteers who help assist with classroom and school activities and ensure success for our students. In fact, we asked our grade level teachers of the year how volunteers make a difference in classrooms. You can find what Lauren Sikowski, Lori Cottrell, and Dan Pozo had to say in this story on our district website. We're going to share this? No, we're not.
They're all like,
We're not. Oh, I see. I can't push the link on my paper. So.
we'll get to that technology someday.
Yes. As many as 10,000 people were expected at the Rockwood District Art Show last weekend at St. Louis Community College in Wildwood. This is the first time the event was held on the campus of STLCC Wildwood. Coordinator Fine Arts Megan Myers said, "We are very excited. The building itself is artistic. This is an event that is very well attended and they have plenty of parking." It's such a great decision. Anybody that was there, it's a great show every year. I always feel like, we would never do this because it's for our parents, but we could charge admission and make an unbelievable amount of money, because I wonder if there's an art show anywhere in St. Louis with so much art. It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming to try to absorb everything in there without, you could spend the whole weekend and even a few more days. But I agree that it was just great to utilize that Wildwood Community College venue. Kind of an innovative feel to it, and even some of the art teachers are sharing with me that in our schools they try to stick art on lockers, and it doesn't work so well. There aren't lockers in the building, and they could use the walls, and it just divided it up really nice. The high school on the bottom floor had elementary on the second floor and middle school on the third floor. I think I have that right, but it was really, really nice, and I think we ought to keep it there personally. Congratulations to Megan for finding work on that. Sarah Meunier is a teacher at Rockwood Summit High and a parent of middle and elementary school students. She is also a coach for a very special robotics team in the district. Meunier said, "I formed an all-girls robotics team this year. Our goal is increasing the number of girls participating in STEM fields. And our team includes several students from 2nd through 7th grades. The team, known as Doggies and Donuts, includes students from Rockwood South, Bowles, and Stanton." That's a great name for a, robotics team, isn't it? I love it. We had the pink pandas last year. Remember the pink pandas?
Yeah, they still exist.
Okay, and a few other things, as you know, but I always like to explain. It's been our practice when we have the board approve new administrators to new posts for the upcoming school year. When we do that in closed session, we like to come out and announce in open session. So we're going to start with our Rockwood South Middle Assistant Principal, Dr. Charity Schluter. Dr. Schluter is currently serving as an area coordinator for special school district in the Rockwood School District. And prior to this position, she was in the Fox School District, serving students as a special education teacher and a behavior specialist. Dr. Schluter received her doctorate in education from Missouri Baptist University. She is board certified as a behavior analyst from the Florida Institute of Technology. Her master's degree is in education of administration from Missouri Baptist University, and she earned her bachelor's degree from Washington University in St. Louis. She will replace Dr. McGee, who is leaving the district for a position elsewhere at the end of the school year. So she's here tonight. We're going to do a quick introduction. Dr. Charity Schluter. Congratulations. And also tonight, there was a decision made about our Director of Gifted Education, which is going to be Mr. Dennis Rhodes. Mr. Rhodes is currently the Assistant Principal at the Center for Creative Learning, or the CCL as we call it, in our school district. Prior to this position, he was the Gifted Coordinator for the Valley Park School District. He has also served as a teacher leader and educator at CCL, and in the Parkway School District was a teacher and computer resource specialist. Mr. Rhodes received his master's degree in educational administration from Lindenwood University. He earned a bachelor's degree in elementary education from the University of Missouri, St. Louis. He also earned certifications as an elementary principal in gifted education, K through 12. He replaces Dr. Joan Oakley, who is retiring effective June 2018. So Mr. Rhodes is here. Stand up, Mr. Denny Rhodes, and congratulations. Very excited to have both of you. Congratulations and thank you. And that is all of my report tonight.
All right, thank you. Any board comments?
I just wanted to say, to tag on to what you said about the art show, I heard from many parents that it was so easy to find their kids' artwork because it was so well organized this year. So hats off to those guys that organized this. I know it was a lot of work just from a logistics side to get everything down there and set it up like that. So bravo, it was awesome.
What else?
I did go to Babber last night to the strings concert. I'm telling you, these kids are great, and there must have been 200 kids in the different orchestras, 4th and 5th grades. Really a great night, and a short night. That's it.
Thank you. All right, so I need, moving on to consent agenda items. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda items as submitted.
So move.
Second?
We have a motion and a second.
Let's keep that up.
Discussion? All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. It passes. Next, we'll move on to agenda items. The first one up is testing calendar and assessment plan for 2018-19. So I need a motion to approve that testing calendar and assessment plan.
So move.
Second?
And a motion and a second. It appears we have Glenn Hancock here to talk to us about this calendar.
Yeah, and thank you.
So welcome.
Thank you for time tonight. And it's appropriate we're talking about the assessment plan and assessment calendar during the middle of MAP season. And I've shared that just like taking that MAP test, the time's unlimited, so is mine up here tonight. So,
Well, that's a good one.
bad one? No. With that, so tonight we wanted to share just our assessment plan. Our assessment plan is developed by a group of teachers, counselors, administrators that work together to put together the assessment plan. They also work together to put together our assessment calendar. By and large, there's not a lot of changes from last year, but do want to just kind of give an overview of our assessment plan. There we go. We function under a balanced assessment plan where we don't just look at state assessments, but we also balance it with our district assessments, ability assessments, character and climate assessments inside there as well. Not only do we balance it in that way, but we also balance it in terms of the layers that we have with our assessment. So it's kind of weird not having the monitor in front of you so I can see what you're seeing at the same time.
I think we're...
But when we look at only at state testing, we tend to lose the students. We tend to lose the individuality of the students. So that's why we pair our assessments and we align our assessments together by giving district level assessments. We also give PLC level assessments, and then our teachers in the classroom give those classroom daily level assessments in there. And it's that relationship that teachers build with the students and how they use the assessment results to make sure they're meaningful with the students and the students understand the results and how it can help them out. And I'm reminded of that personally because on our board here, Mrs. Romberg, when I was growing up, I had to take a reading test as part of our district assessment plan at the time.
I was gentle.
And when I took the assessment, I wasn't really excited to be taking the test that day, so maybe like a sixth grader, I filled in a bunch of C's going down, and that qualified me for a program for a little help in reading. And when I got there, Mrs. Romberg, she knew right away. She's like, okay, she developed a relationship with me and helped me learn, okay, why we take this assessment, the benefits of it. And through that relationship, every time I've seen Mrs. Romberg, I've always greeted her, I've always said hi, I've always given her a big hug because we continue that relationship. I did end up taking an assessment, so I was out of the program, and she did motivate me with the cookie cake, and so that was a positive.
Whatever it is.
Shelley, that works still now, so anything you want to give, but
I'll share my recipe later.
But again, I am reminded that there's that strong relationship with our teachers and our students that make using these assessments valuable information. So with that, to share our K-5 plan and just showing how each layer kind of goes together. We obviously have state testing that we do for our students with the MAP testing that we talked about we're doing right now. But we also have assessments that help know where English language learners and their acquisition of the English language learning and how that's coming along. And the new part this year that is mandated by the state is reading screening. And this is more aligned with screening for dyslexia that they're coming out with. We will be doing a few more assessments to make sure we are screening for all the individual requirements that DESE and the state and their statute is asking us to screen for. So we'll be looking at another assessment tool to help out with that. The good news is that we will have, and we're working with Dr. Shelley Willott and also Stephanie Steffen to make sure that we have a good plan for this and using our reading specialists to help with hearing each student read and then marking miscues and making sure we have each student and know where we need to intervene if necessary. So that's a new part to our assessment plan this year, is a little bit of a different reading screener to make sure we're screening for all those requirements by DESE and the state with in terms of dyslexia screening. The other section we give as a district, so again, we don't just rely on our state assessments. We give district assessments such as STAR, and STAR Reading and STAR Math to all of our 1st through 5th grade students. We also give the character and climate surveys to our kindergarten through 5th grade students as well. We also give ability screeners and assessments. This helps with qualification for gifted for the CCL, and we utilize those assessments as kind of screeners and early identification of who goes on for further testing. And then at all levels, we have our PLCs that get together, they create common assessments, or they'll go over scoring guides or rubrics and how do they grade, their grading practices, so they can share best instructional practice with each other. And then in the classroom, again, on a daily basis, our teachers are always working on how do we help make assessment more meaningful for our students, how do they become self-assessors, how do they know when they're ready to tackle something, when they're ready to move on. And so we continually try to put students in control of their own learning through self-assessment, through a balanced assessment plan that's ongoing. At the grades 6 through 8, this is the same assessment plan we ran this year. Again, we still have a layer of state testing. We use our district level assessments that we do 3 times a year again with STAR. We do STAR Reading and STAR Math. And those assessments we use right now because they're quick screeners, they're quick interim assessments that we get a pulse on how students are doing in reading and math in grades 6 through 8. The only students that don't take the math assessment for STAR Math, are algebra, geometry, and algebra 2 students. We also measure our character and climate ongoing through our schools as also. And then again, same thing, we have classroom and PLC level assessments that are involved as part of our assessment plan as well. On to the high school, our 9 through 12 plan, very similar. We have a row of state testing, some state requirements that we fulfill, and we have a layer of district assessments that we do. Our assessments at the high school level are more aligned with ACT, practice ACT tests, our pre-ACT tests. We use these assessments to really help inform the student, where they're at, potential scores they'll get, areas that they can improve on. And the new one that I wanted to share this evening is the WorkKeys assessment. That's a new one we put in there, available for our 12th graders. And this assessment contains three different tests, and depending on how you score in that test, that'll give you a national career readiness certificate. And a lot of jobs and industries have aligned particular jobs and their skills of those jobs to that national career ready certificate. So students could leave here with a potential career ready certificate that kind of qualifies them for jobs that other industries have said, we align our jobs, our skills with this particular career readiness certificate. We also do participate in the STAR Reading for our 9th graders, and again, we still monitor our character and climate ongoing in our schools. And the same thing, 9 through 12, we also have a layer of classroom level assessments and PLC level assessments that our teachers work with on a daily basis as well. Overall, the assessment committee just had 3 big recommendations. Implement the screening for components outlined by Missouri statute. And this was in reference to dyslexia screening. Provide opportunity for students to participate in ACT WorkKeys. Again, this gives them an opportunity to earn a National Career Readiness Certificate. And then to continue to align our social emotional learning, character and climate assessments with our desired SEL outcomes, so our desired social emotional learning outcomes. And just a quick overall summary of our calendar and plan. Our transition is still continuing to mostly online. We are going to explore giving ACT online next year. Still in the early phases of that. It just gives us more options in terms of the days we can give this. It helps with scheduling in our buildings. We're going to maintain the current assessed content areas. Our testing time is mostly unchanged. A lot of it we'll know more this year after the state testing's finished. This is the first year of math, English, and science in our schools with the math testing this year. That's a new version of it, so we'll know more after we go through this year. There will be a slight increase in testing time. That's due to the additional dyslexia screening to make sure we're getting all the components that we need to measure. And then there will be overall a slight increase to our cost depending on the tools that we purchase to help with the screening with this dyslexia requirement. Our next steps, we're continuing to monitor and change the state assessment plan. As you know, DESE is continually changing and modifying things. There also is the Missouri Assessment Partnership. You know, where that kind of comes into the fold, we're still discussing that as well. We'll continue to provide professional learning on how to use these assessments, how to make, not just give the assessments, but how do we use the information and make it meaningful, not just for our teachers and staff, but our students and their families as well. We continue to improve on that as well. Collaborate with multiple departments to continue to develop our social emotional learning measures. And then again, that communication of our assessment plan. You know, why are we giving these assessments? What information can they learn from there? We're going to continue with that outreach in that component as well. All right. Any questions I can answer here tonight?
Go ahead.
Is the WorkKeys assessment new for everybody, new just for Rockwood? How does that work?
The WorkKeys has been around for a little while. This will be the first year we're going to offer it to 12th graders, and it'll be an assessment we won't mandate every 12th grader take. So it'll be kind of an optional. If students would like to sign up for it and take it, they may. The ACT, we will continue to provide that for all juniors. If you remember, the state didn't pay for the ACT this year. They're looking at paying for it again next year, but we still have it in our plan to offer it no matter what. On the ACT, ACT, it gives you a projected National Career Readiness score, so it'll give them a projected score of where they might score on the WorkKeys, and that way they know what certificate they would qualify for. So not only can we use this for college information or college readiness, but we're bridging now into that career readiness section.
Are you seeing a lot of other districts doing that as well?
Correct. Yeah, there's a lot of districts that offer that as an option. Some districts offer it as an option in 11th grade. Instead of giving the ACT, they give students the WorkKeys, just to keep it open and not to try and share that one student needs to take only one assessment, continue with all juniors taking the ACT, and then that gives them an idea of where they would be on the WorkKeys. It gives them another year of schooling to then participate in the WorkKeys as a senior.
I think we're still on the front end of that a little bit. I mean, it's definitely picking up. There's more school districts that are offering WorkKeys, but I think there's still more that don't than do.
Yeah, and no one offers it to all students.
Right.
It's another one of those,
Right.
if you'd like to take it in voluntary basis.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, we're seeing this resurgence of career tech education and the importance of that in our community, and trying to revive that, interest in the trades and interest in things. There's kids we know, we went through that period where we expected every kid to be college-bound, university-bound, and we know that it was probably not a really wise thing to do. So I think it's the appropriate thing to do. I'm glad we're doing it, and I appreciate how we're doing it, as Glenn mentioned, with the senior year, and we're offering it to everybody. It just makes good sense to do that.
Yeah, it'd be a good piece to communicate out too, because we get that question at chamber lunches and things like that a lot from people who are wanting to know that, and that's another good tool.
And partnering with Dr. Rebele, we have joined up to be part of the ACT workforce, which means that we recognize the career readiness certificate as well. We haven't aligned necessarily all of our jobs and skills with a particular certificate, but we do recognize that as an industry level. We participate in the St. Louis workforce community.
I just had one last question. The dyslexia screening, is that only being required of elementary educators, or how do we look at that? Because sometimes we might miss a child or somebody transfers in and
so part of our assessment plan is we continually screen every student. Well, by nature, or by law, if you will, by statute, we're required to screen grades K through 3. First through third, we'll screen within the first 30 days of school. And then kindergarten, we have till July 30th, 31st to screen kindergartners. But everywhere else, we continue to use our assessment plan. So we use star reading as kind of our base level screener at the beginning of each year to help pick up any students we might have missed in earlier grades or students that transfer in.
Okay.
At the high school level, a couple quick questions. End-of-course exam for ninth graders is Algebra 1. We have a lot of students who take Algebra 1 in middle school.
Right.
Are there grades thrown in on that?
Yes.
I mean, are they figured in on that even though they're not taking it as a ninth grader, they took it as an eighth grader?
Correct. We'll do that. We'll get to utilize their scores as an eighth grader, so they'll participate in the Algebra 1. If they're an eighth grader, they'll take the Algebra 1 EOC as an eighth grader. And then we do have to assess them in Algebra 2 when they take it in the high school. So we'll also utilize their Algebra 2 score when they take it again as a high school.
Okay. And the other one involves the ACT. Do we offer a course at the high schools, an ACT test prep course for elective credit?
We don't have one, and Shelley might correct me, I don't think we have one for credit, but each school I do know offers a prep course in some shape or form. I think it differs by building depending on the number of students, either it's before school, after school, or some combination.
Yeah, I just saw last week for one of the neighboring districts, they offer an elective course, ACT prep, and I thought maybe that's something to look at. Thanks.
I had one question. Glenn, when you're looking at the dyslexic screening, are you looking at something internally that we already have in place, or a tool that's outside of what we already have in our curriculum?
We're currently looking, and we're partnering with Stefan and Dr. Willett, and I do know that this is one of the plans to bring forward once we finalize the plan with it. This was just the initial part to make sure we had it on the calendar and reserve those days. But we've been looking internally at our current assessments we have. There are some components of the screen, of what they want us to screen, that our assessments don't screen for, and so we'll have to reach to an outside source to get those measurements.
Okay.
Other questions?
No, thanks, Glenn.
Yeah, anytime.
Thank you.
All right.
Great, then the motion to approve the 2018-19 testing calendar and assessment plan, we need to vote on that. So all in favor, say yes?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Why did I say yes? All in favor, say aye.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Opposed, say no. And that passes, thank goodness. All right. Next, we have a informational presentation, a learning management system, and Glenn Hancock is going to stay here, and then we have the Executive Director of Learning and Support Services, Dr. Shelley Willott, is going to share this information that was just on, we just approved this, correct?
Approved it.
All right,
That's why we wanted to let you know what we were spending that money on.
thank you, we appreciate that.
So this has been a project that's been in the making for a while. I will say that Glenn has done the heavy lifting on this one, trying to get this pulled together, and we'll walk through the steps of what we did. But we're really looking at a lot of personalized learning options in the curriculum department. We're hearing more and more demand for blended learning, for online learning, and we just kept trying to look for a way to pull that all together and make it in a nice, neat little package. So we started looking at learning management systems and looking at the power of what those could do, and realized that having a learning management system would allow us to move further and faster on some of these things that we really find important right now. So there were 5 key things that we looked at when we were, that we were hoping to do when we looked at this. One of them was obviously the personalized learning and giving kids more student choice. It offers a lot of flexibility in their learning. We can let kids choose coursework. We can let them choose options within the coursework. There's a lot of content that you can put within that LMS. One-to-one technology, of course, we've got that up and running. We can always do better with that. It'll help us integrate that technology more, so we're not just using those functional tasks with it, but really integrating in that learning process and getting the kids engaged in their learning with the one-to-one technology. It provides anytime, anywhere learning. Last summer, we did a pilot of 2 summer school classes. We actually had a student that was traveling to the Himalayas over the summer and got to take her health course while she was there. So she had reception. I don't know how that happened, but she did. So the family was very excited that she got to do that. So we like that, having that flexibility and options for our families. Kids are on the go, people are on the go, and it's nice to be able to do that.
Great.
I know, I was shocked when I got that email.
Be a great research project to see if the higher elevations had an impact on her academic success.
Meaningful feedback and assessment. So we think that this gives a more personalized look at that feedback. The teacher's able to give it more quickly, and it's more meaningful to the student when it gets to them quicker, and that technology allows them to do that. Teachers can actually give feedback on their phones while they're sitting at a kid's practice or whatever that might be, because they've got it right there in their hand. And so they're much more likely to be able to give that feedback that we're really looking for our kids to moving forward. And then the big thing is the management and organization of resources. As you know, we've been approving new curriculum, and every piece of new curriculum has some kind of technology piece that goes with it. Every textbook that we buy has a digital piece. Deb has been instrumental in helping us with that. I think sometimes we drive her crazy with that. But she's been a real big help in this project, trying to figure out how to get all those resources managed and what that's going to look like within this LMS. So she's been checking us all on that along the way. Really, it's going to allow us to stop the fragmentation. So we have many of these things going on in the district that we offer to our students: YouTube, Discovery Ed, TED Talks. It'll all be there in the learning management system, that they can access it quickly and easily in one spot. We talked to high school kids, I think that was a couple years ago, and the thing that they mentioned the most was, I am tired of all these logins to all these different places, and this teacher does this and this teacher does that, and we're going everywhere to get the information that we need. So it's going to be able to be held in one single spot.
When we look at the type of learning that we have going on right now, we do have, obviously we have a lot of traditional face-to-face type of learning going on, and we overlay that with a lot of tech-rich environment. That was our one-to-one we started to employ in there. And teachers are starting to go out and get their own learning management systems. They're starting to use different free solutions that are out there, and we have a lot of different free solutions. So when you talk about the students mentioning, I'm going to this place for this thing, this place for that thing, it gets confusing, also for our parents as well, so helping streamline and organize that together with all of our multiple online resources. As Shelley mentioned, that there's also the opportunity to give online courses. They're strictly online. Students don't have to come into a building. The student from the Himalayas, you heard, is able to take an online course, so we continue to offer online courses. We already have students kind of doing a little bit of this as well with some of our credit recovery. They're using Odysseyware. They're also using Fuel Ed, so you can see we're already using multiple different systems to kind of do some online learning inside there as well. And then there's a blended approach in here. And you might hear with our one-to-one, a lot of schools and teachers are using Google Classroom a lot of times. And so that's that blended approach where they're starting to infuse an online class with that face-to-face class. They're starting to use aspects of your online resources and tools, but in a more organized fashion right there. And our Project Lead the Way classrooms have been using a learning management system for a while now. As part of the Project Lead the Way curriculum, they have it already bundled up, so that's already in there and ready to go. For us, for our potential uses, what we're looking at right now with the LMS, professional learning for our staff will be one of the uses that we can use. We can use this to provide courses that are the right time. You might be working with a particular initiative, or you might be working with a particular group of students, and we can apply or provide the right type of professional learning at the right time. We can allow our new teachers to kind of be in a cohort and go along together, travel together in an online class, and again, keep those resources together right there. And going through our work and talking to a couple different schools, they also recommended that as we facilitate committee work, we can utilize an LMS to help facilitate committees, as that way we can become more used to having a one-stop shop for all of our resources as well. Obviously, we want to use this for online courses. So we talked about the opportunity for health, personal finance courses, but also orientation courses on using the system for not just students, but as you're a facilitator of the course. We want to make sure we use it for opportunities for blended learning. We already have Project Lead the Way classes using this. We have early adopters that are going to be a part of this, so we're going to be working with our early adopters, maybe call them the blended brigade, if you will, to help organize and group them together to utilize their knowledge and share ideas with one another. And we can use this to intervene. This is kind of a new area we started discussing options with. Instead of waiting for students to need credit recovery, how do we identify areas that we might need to intervene and offer modules in a learning management system along the way? We're also looking and working with Lisa Lingle and Dr. Willett, we're looking at offering on-ramp courses or ramp-up courses. So students that might want to take a particular honors level or more challenging course, we're doing this with math this summer. Students that want to be in the new math 6-7, but still need a few skills to be ready. Lisa Lingle's putting an online course together so they can practice, get those skills, and they have the opportunity. So we're not being a gatekeeper stopping them from taking a course. We're giving them the opportunity to make sure they're ready and give them the supports before they take the course. So we can use these as on-ramp courses to make sure we're ready before we even start, and to even preview courses in the future. So they kind of get a background knowledge, and again, going with that background information in there.
Smart.
And again, we can transition away from Odysseyware that we're currently paying and using right now. Then lastly, as we mentioned, curriculum is purchasing a lot of new curriculum. They have a lot of online resources. We can merge that together with our curriculum documents. So staff, even students and parents, won't need to go to one place for the curriculum document, one place for the assessment, one place for instructional resources. We can have these kind of in one place that way we can ebb and flow with each other inside the same system. So the choice that we made after working with a group of teachers, parents, is Canvas. I shouldn't say parents, I'm sorry, staff, administrators, is Canvas inside of here. We felt this was the tool that blended everything together, that gave us the things that we needed to do, and the one-to-one, the management organization, the content, the opportunity for meaningful feedback was Canvas inside of here. And just to play a quick, this is a very short, just 2-minute demo, just so you can see some of the capabilities of the system. This is obviously from Canvas, but this is a quick 2-minute video on some of the features within Canvas.
A learning management system. But here at Canvas, we like to think it stands for learning, mastery, and success. That's because the Canvas LMS does more than manage due dates and store content. It helps you impact achievement in real and significant ways. And it happens to make your job easier at the same time. Here's how. With Canvas Mastery Paths, you can chart a course for success for every student. Just outline appropriate activities for different proficiency levels, and students automatically receive content and instruction that fit their learning paths. Teachers can easily make adjustments to changes in proficiency. It's personalized learning made easy. Canvas integrates with your SIS, your AMS, and a seemingly endless list of edu apps. In access to learning outside the classroom, they tend to do a lot more of it. And when you embrace technology, you increase efficiency and flexibility, which makes your job a whole lot easier. So yes, Canvas is a learning management system, but it's also a learning, mastery, and success machine. Come see how Canvas can help you impact achievement and find out what LMS can mean for you and your students.
So to finish up, I wanted to walk you through the process that we used for this. It wasn't just a few of us sitting around the table deciding Canvas was the choice. Glenn spent a lot of time really putting this together and digging deep to make sure that we were really thorough in this process. So the first thing we did was get together the instructional technology, curriculum, PD, and data teams to really talk about the needs that we had and get that all together. Then we put out an RFP. We did We did a staff workshop on personalized learning and did an LMS review with a bunch of high school and middle school teachers that we had the principals identify that were on the cutting edge of things that we thought would be receptive and ready for this. We did a first demonstration of 3 LMSs first, and then we narrowed that down to 2. And then it's really important to know that the review team involved kids, so we brought kids in and had them try out the product, teachers, counselors, principals, curriculum, instructional tech, and technology support. So we did a really thorough job, I think, in having all those different groups look at it and give their thoughts, and we landed on Canvas. The next year, we're going to be building background content while we're letting first adopters get started. We've got a lot of groundwork to do this spring in getting templates ready, getting it designed so that it is Rockwoodized, and we're going to get ready to get up and moving. I think Deb's got a tech meeting with them soon. Any questions?
Canvas is a great tool. I know Keith and I have both used it quite a bit. And will it include the discussion board and play things for the students? Because it would be invaluable for teachers. I can tell you that immediate feedback is a really good tool, and it archives all of your documentation that you've given the students. So, well done.
Well, and we really like the fact that it does apply. Many of our kids will be using that product at higher ed, and our teachers who take coursework use Canvas. So there's a lot of meshing there with this particular LMS.
It's very user-friendly.
And you have to realize that if I use it, it has to be fairly easy. No, I'm really thrilled with Canvas. We've taken it to a really high level. We use it for everything. I did have one other question. Online courses, you were talking about Lisa Lingle was maybe developing a program. Do we have the processes in motion to compensate the people that do these online courses, or is that just here, do one and it doesn't count for anything?
Right now, we're treating it as curriculum writing, so the same way that we would either pull teachers with a sub or stipend them over the summer to do that. I don't know where that's going to go because we don't know how fast we're going to expand and what that's going to look like, but we may have to adjust that process. One of the things that we know we're going to have a lot of discussions about is the online piece. How far are we going to go with it? What courses are we going to allow online? Which ones aren't we? We're going to have a lot of departmental discussions with teachers about what they feel translates best to online and what doesn't, so there's a lot of work to be done there.
And there's a copyright piece in there too. If someone develop it, do they have the copyright, or does the district have a copyright? For how long? One last question. I know we're going to one-to-one on Chromebooks or computers, technology. How close are we getting to the point where we can get away from textbooks, which are extremely expensive, and going online with everything?
We're buying fewer and fewer textbooks.
I'm sorry, what?
We're buying fewer and fewer textbooks.
That's good.
More of it is digital. We're seeing more of that access digitally for our kids, for sure.
That's good, because prices are not getting any less on books. They're getting really expensive.
Pricing on that digital stuff too to get their money's worth.
I think the other piece of that, even away from the online concept, is just the paradigm of we're getting beyond that age where people viewed textbooks as a curriculum.
Right.
And that all of us in our careers experienced the time where a course was about getting through a textbook, and it's just less and less. There's there's less and less of our graduates coming out of university thinking that way. The textbook is a resource. And with more and more, back to your Chromebook comment, with more and more online resources, it's the same reason we don't have encyclopedias in all of our classrooms. And when we were all young, if our parents were in a financial situation where they could afford us to have a set of encyclopedias at home, we were well-to-do. We could really do our homework much better than our counterparts could do. So it's kind of the same mentality, I think, with textbooks. And I mean, the textbook companies are still smart to that, and they're creating their online content that they still charge for, but the reason they're smart is a lot of them are making that content really good, and resources that our teaching experts are going to probably still be requesting, at least on occasion. But it's a paradigm that's moving.
I saw a couple of years ago where Grandview School District down around Hillsborough, they spent quite a bit of money developing online courses, and they turned around and copyrighted them and started selling them to other districts to use, and they make quite a bit they're making some money on it, which is just a thought. I'm not saying we should do that, but I'm just saying it's what they did.
We've been talking to Springfield quite a bit. They've
Springfield.
quite a big thing going, and we've been talking to them quite a bit about what they're doing. They've invited us to come see how they do things and shared some of their work with us, so that's been really helpful.
Well, that's really exciting, what you guys are talking about. Thanks.
Anything else? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we need a motion to approve the salary ranges as listed and a 3% salary increase for general support staff for the 2018-19 school year.
So move.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second, and we have the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, Katie Rebellet, here to talk to us.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam President and members of the board, and Dr. Knest. How does that sound, Laura Lee?
For some cookies.
I'm here tonight. As you know, annually, Human Resources conducts a comparative market analysis for salary ranges. So that's what is attached to the agenda item, the support staff salary ranges. We are also requesting a 3% increase to overall salaries, with the exception of those employees that we have negotiated contracts, which would be bus drivers, bus monitors, custodians, social workers, and nurses. They are subject to a negotiated contract.
You have any questions?
If I'm reading this correct, Katie, where the yellow highlights are, that's where a change in the minimum or maximum was?
Correct, yeah. Anything that's in yellow, so there are some title changes that you may have noticed, and then that's also a change in the minimum or the maximum.
And that's not counting the 3%? That's
Correct, that's just the range. That's when somebody would enter into the position.
And what generated those changes in those areas?
The market data.
So that
from-
yellow reflects the market change?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, exactly. And in meetings with the supervisors of those groups, and they're based on their recommendations.
Good job.
Yep.
Thank you. Is that it?
Anything else?
No?
Okay, so the motion on the floor is to approve those increases. All those in favor say aye.
Yay.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. All right, the motion passes. Off of here. All right, so next up, we should have bond issue purchases and related contracts over $150,000. And so we have two. So the first one is a motion to approve the bond issue purchases and related contracts over $150,000 from DH Pace, DBA Overhead Door Company, Inc., for interior door lock replacement project FY16, bond issue Phase 2 for the amount of $202,711.50.
So move.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second, and we have Mike Schneider here to talk to us about these.
So moved.
I thought we had that. We had a motion and a second? Yeah. Okay.
There you go.
Yep, ready to go.
This is installation of new door hardware on all large area interior classroom spaces, including cafeterias, gyms, libraries, and multipurpose rooms. This converts old locking systems to a system that can be locked from the interior of the classroom and does not require a key. This will standardize the lockdown procedure district-wide.
If I could comment that, just to make sure that our public knows and those who view the video link tonight. That is directly a result of our recent security assessment and improvement plan. You may recall that in the 2015 bond issue, a big part of that was to allow our teachers in an intruder situation to be able to lock their doors from the inside of the classroom without opening the door and going out, or without using a key. And that was, supplied our teachers across the district with, affording them a great ability to make our schools much, much safer for our children. The thing it didn't do was to take care of bigger spaces that have double doors that push out with panic bars. And so there's now a mechanism that we can purchase that allows us to do the same. So we're going back as part of that assessment plan, and that will truly be a pretty magnificent thing, because really anywhere that we house kids throughout our buildings, throughout the district, will now have the ability to lock themselves in, the adults in charge to lock themselves inside and barricade behind that space. So it's a pretty significant thing, and something that's probably not going to get as much of attention because it's not, it's relative to our bond issue for 2015, but we're doing it now because those materials are available. So it's a very good measure and something that's appropriate and timely.
Did you say in 2015 we put the locks on the individual doors of teachers?
Yes.
I was thinking it was a long time before that, but okay. So this takes care of the other part.
Yes.
Is this all done manually, or is there a control in the office that locks it?
It's just like the classrooms.
They're all manual?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Will that include, like, these doors here
Yeah,
inside
the space
every
right
building? All will be secure?
Correct, yes.
Did we-
Securable from the inside.
Securable.
Did we look into, instead of the manually, one system that controls it from the office or something like that?
Yeah,
And it was cost prohibitive?
That's exactly.
Yeah, it's cost prohibitive, but it's also debatable as to the control measures of that and when it's done and how it's done. And the 4E training that we do with teachers is an options-based training. So they're going to most often shelter in place with students, but there are some times where they do different things. So even though they can still get out of the room, the fact that it's so easy to do that, to do the locking, the cost prohibitive measure just doesn't. In most cases, you ask a lot of law enforcement experts, they'll tell you they don't really understand why that expense is needed. Maybe the one example would be if a teacher was incapacitated or something, but you worry a little bit about that too, because you may want an adult to be getting inside of that room if the kids are unsupervised in a bad situation. So I feel, and I think a lot of law enforcement experts feel, that needs to be left in the hands of the individual adults manning or monitoring those rooms.
Now, I saw where it was in Florida, they built a school, a brand-new school, with all of these devices they're talking about, and it doubled the price of the total building, which could be rather expensive.
Yeah.
Just don't know I just don't know that it's proven that you really get your money worth out of that. I mean, because, who can put a cost on school safety? And if we had law enforcement experts saying, do it, the other piece that goes with that, and you're right, I think there was a school in Florida, but there's one in Indiana that I've mentioned before, and we have, as I think I've stated this to the board, we have almost every aspect of their high-tech plan. Ours is a little more low-tech, but we can do the same things. When I shared that with our law enforcement, they were very complimentary of what we have. And the other debatable thing is the fog machines or the smoke machines that shoot through the ceilings. Our law enforcement really, again, it's a cost, and they just don't. In the cost-benefit analysis, they don't really see it.
Anything else? All right, so the motion on the floor is to approve the contract for DH Pace Overhead Door Company for $202,711.50. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right, that passes. Our next one, let me pull this up, because I want to make sure I get the dollar amount correct. Next, I need a motion to approve the bond issue purchases and related contracts over $150,000 from VJ Cement Contracting Company, Inc. for Marquette High School parking lot replacement project FY 17-18 bond issue, and that amount is for $1,409,972.
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Again, Mr. Schneider.
Scope of work includes the installation of a new parking lot surface and replacement of concrete sidewalk sections. This was a cement alternate, number 3. Ductile Crete's the product. It's a concrete overlay, which was chosen for the product.
That the whole parking lot?
The only lot that isn't improved is the small one on the Kerrs Mill side. Everything else is going to be cement.
Small one on the Kerrs Mills.
The bus parking lot?
There's a little to turn around. It's about 10, 12 spots over there.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Secret parking lot.
I'm sorry about that.
The backside.
It's over by the library.
Backside, okay. Yeah, it is Kerrs Mill, isn't it? Okay.
I think you used to park there.
Yeah, if I got there early enough.
Yep.
I usually did.
But it is a little unique that we're doing concrete on here, because usually those prices exceed, but we've been receiving quite a bit of encouragement from the concrete industry. Yes, a concrete council, that they really want us encouraged, and we usually say, well, it's cost prohibitive, but in this case, they came through, and it was, which is good in the long run.
Clarkson Valley required?
No, they didn't.
That's good.
We have the same situation at Crestview, and it's been down for 10 years, 11 years.
They're going to do the same?
Left grade.
They'll do the same thing then?
Pardon me?
They'll do the same thing at Crestview later on?
No, Crestview has this concrete overlay.
Oh, it has, okay.
They did.
It's holding up beautifully. It's wearing better
Gotcha.
than the asphalt is right now.
Very good.
Good. All right, any other questions? All right, so that motion on the floor is for VJ Cement Contracting Company for the Marquette High School parking lot in the amount of $1,409,972. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no, and that passes. Thank you. All right, next up, I'm assuming the COPE Committee, Jamie Bays, I have it that you're talking about our board retreat discussion.
So you should all have in front of you the topics that we talked about at our last retreat last year on August 3rd. So I emailed that out to everybody and did not get any suggestions on any additions or changes.
There's a lot on here.
There is a lot on here, but there might be things that we feel like we don't need to cover this time, or there might be new things that we'd love to cover this time. So that's kind of the first part of our discussion. Next would be, when should we do this? And then the third would be sort of the format that we want to do. So those are all things to consider. Do we want to, pair this up with another board meeting again like we did last year, or have a separate time for this? Just looking for thoughts from everybody, and then we'll have some discussion. And we're missing 2, so we'll have to get theirs by email. Yeah.
Discussion tonight?
Yep.
So how long are we anticipating this to, and I'm assuming that the COPE Committee is going to divide and conquer, and you guys are the ones who are running this meeting?
We hadn't decided it yet, had we?
Oh.
We thought
We were
That'd
going
be
to get
my
back together and
suggestion.
figure that part out. Yeah.
Because if we start looking into May, obviously, the 3rd and the 17th.
Yeah.
Oof.
Do you need me there?
I don't think we talked
What
about
kind of attitude is
You,
that?
you said May, and I could feel Janet shake the table.
Well, we do have a Board of Education meeting already scheduled on June 7th. I know it's June, but we could tie it into that
I think we should probably do it as soon as we
somehow,
can.
especially if we know this far in advance, and perhaps then the agenda's a little lighter on that night.
We can make that happen.
Okay, I'll check with everybody. Are you all good with June 7th? Those present?
June 7th.
Yep. Check your paper.
Got to check my paper.
And I'll
You guys check your telephone, I'll check my paper.
That's right. I'll check with Matt and Keith.
The other thing too, if we stick with June 7th now, I think I think 2 years ago when we did that, we actually planned an earlier start. We did that last year too, but then we reneged on it because we really did keep the agenda very short, and I don't think at the time with Matt Dole present, I don't think that, maybe from some feedback from you all, he didn't think that a whole lot of extra time was needed. So I'm just saying that we'll keep it light, but we can also, just in case there's things that we need to get through, we can potentially talk about a early start that night, maybe a short closed session, and maybe we're opening up by 6:30 instead of 7 or something like that. That we can just keep that in mind. We've got some time to decide, but
That's a great idea, especially since May is out, and we already have a board meeting on that date in June. So, in the meantime, you want us to really seriously look at this again?
I would. So if you could really seriously look at this list again and tell me if you feel like, we really seriously write those 2 words down. Are there things that you look at on here that you go, you know what, we have covered that so many times, we've got that. I think there are things in here that we should annually review anyway, like number 6, ethics statements, sunshine law, agenda settings, good to cover quickly, board communications. In my opinion, those are things we should revisit every year. And then financing, we've had a couple of ideas come up on just some PD for the board on a few things, so I'll include those in this list. And then if you guys think of anything else or are dying to do some team bonding or something really outside the box, we can do that too. So let me know, really seriously.
I would suggest to the board that we've talked about this a little bit, but I just think so highly of this board and how it functions, and I'm obviously familiar with just about every other board in the St. Louis area, and so many boards are engaged in the national school boards, the conference that they have every year, and their members, and I have never been, and
I'd like to go.
Yeah, I'm not saying it because I want it to benefit me, but it's usually something the board and the superintendent does together, and I hear from many school districts, and I can share with you if any of you want to talk to board members at some of those school districts, that they really think it's a very, very positive experience. So it does evolve time away, and it's not the whole board. Usually it's maybe every year three members go with or rotate or something like that. So just something that you may want to put on the agenda to talk a little more about, and if you want me to
I think it's in March.
I was going to say.
It just happened. It just happened.
Right, yeah.
No, I've heard from, I know of someone who's on a school board in New York and has said several times that it's a very worthwhile thing to go to because it gets you outside of Missouri. Nothing wrong with Missouri, but, it certainly gets you an opportunity to talk to people from around the country. Right. So I think that'd be a great idea.
I think there's also very good, diverse presentations, again, from areas beyond just the St. Louis region, beyond the state of Missouri. So something all ought to consider. It's just that we have a good board, and I think it would just solidify the collegiality and also just give an opportunity to really learn beyond what we're exposed to here.
Good. Look at Janet.
Yep.
Have we heard anything yet from the application to be the best school board in the state of Missouri?
They met on Tuesday,
The 17th.
the 17th.
17th?
Yes, their board met.
That was 2 days ago.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, we haven't heard anything.
yet.
Oh.
We're anticipating hearings shortly.
They might be about to surprise us.
All right, anything more about the board retreat discussion?
I'll send out a reminder. Were you all able to open the document? Did anyone try? So just...
If it's board docs, and I can't open board docs, no one ever gives me permission, so I don't know why.
All right, moving right along.
I'm sure there must be a way. Thanks, Deb.
Let's open, we have guests here that, this is their first time at a board meeting. I think they think, what is going on? All right.
It's typical board meeting tonight, just like every other time.
All right, so we need to open up the proposed agenda for the May 3rd, 2018 Board of Education meeting. If everyone wants to take a look at that and see if there's anything.
Could we add one more time, the board retreat discussion?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
That's it.
Final time.
Max it out right there. All right, anything else on that agenda? All right, then we'll call the meeting.
Future agenda.
I was going to say call the meeting over, it's the opposite. I'll adjourn the meeting.